Nicole, I think you were in Sweden.
I was, yes. It was my last hurrah before my flight ban came in since I was pregnant.
Oh yeah, true.
So yes, I decided to go home to visit the family, which was very
With
nice.
bump.
With bump. With bump.
And I'd been in the UK just running some training for work, and there was work going on at the chateau which we weren't there for, so it was a little bit nerve-wracking me getting back to find what they had been up to, and they'd replaced two of the beams, and we were a bit
With something that looked very similar to a toothpick comparison to the other ones.
the other beams that had been in there, so we were a bit disappointed given, I think, anyway, we paid €1,000 for what turned out to be toothpicks.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I freaked my dad out because you took pictures of it and sent it to us, and he sent it to his cousin, who's a kind of structural engineer. He said, "There's no way that's gonna keep the weight that you need." But it wasn't until we really came back and saw that they probably would do well.
Well, I mean, I was there, and it did look a bit dodgy. But anyway, it seems to be holding.
What's there now.
It's holding the floor up above, so seems to be doing the job. But yeah, the exciting thing was I was there in time to catch them doing a lot of the groundwork for the gite. So watching them kind of really dig out the trenches we needed for the soil pipes and the electrics and everything else.
Yeah, that was very exciting. It was super exciting just to see it all get done. I don't think I've ever been that excited about diggers before, but
yeah,
this one,
and earth being moved around.
Yeah, that was very exciting.
That was exciting. But meanwhile, I think you'd been working on the kitchen plans from afar.
Yep. And it was a bit tricky, this one, because of the space and making sure that we got in everything that we needed from a functionality point of view, because we knew we would be living here for a number of months in this particular area of the chateau, this little gite. So we wanted it to be a fully functioning kitchen.
And then we had various other jobs happening around that same time. And to be honest, I can't quite keep track of everything that was going on. We had
there was so much.
Builder-mate Paul helping us out, trying to drill a hole through a nearly meter thick wall so we could get a new set of electrics through, because we needed brand new electrics in the whole building. And the electricity company were like, yeah, no, you can put it in here. And then we drilled this hole through all the beautiful stone. And then they said, oh yeah, it turns out, sorry, we can't, because we can't get through the rock to get to the cable to attach it for you. So, just go make a hole somewhere else instead.
I remember how furious we were.
We were furious. And then we also had Tim and Kurt with us, which was the dream team. And as the concrete had been poured, exciting.
Super exciting. And it was so nice to see it come in. But yeah, we needed other things to do in the meantime.
Yeah, while it was setting for a couple of days before we could really walk on it. And so I think Tim, we put to work on raking out all the joints from all the sandblasting we've been doing.
Yeah.
And then Kurt and I wanted to clear the rest of the stone from the old fireplace that we'd taken down previously.
That was in heavy the entrance work. Wall. Yeah.
That was really heavy, as you can see.
And quite time consuming as well, but well worth doing.
Yeah, and then what we found, actually, once we removed the stone, was that there were actually some pretty big gaping holes in the wall, and so Tim and Kurt got to work just kind of shoring that up with iron bars and the lime mortar. So it's now rock solid, or lime solid. And then we had this crazy turn in the weather.
Yeah, all of a sudden it just became winter and Christmas again, and
because it had been raining loads, hadn't it? And then temperature just plummeted.
Oh gosh, all the mud dragging everything inside.
Yeah, so I guess maybe it was quite nice that it turned into a white.
Well, I mean, it looks magical in the snow. So I
Yeah.
really do hope we can get some white Christmases. That would be lovely.
That would. But despite the cold, we thankfully had, at the end of each day, a very warm and cosy gite to go back to, which even had a fireplace, which we were very grateful
We
for.
were utterly grateful for that.
With the cement set, we could then start work again in creating the gite, and I still hadn't quite finished dusting off the beams because I was in such a rush last time that I took a few shortcuts, so I had to clear some of those.
It felt a bit surreal at this stage because you were standing up there like poking through what was going to be on the ceiling, but there was no ceiling, so there you were dangling,
my legs dangling
through it. And I just thought, wow, it's already February and we're supposed to be moving in by 20th of April. When Noah was due.
Yeah.
And I did not at that stage go, yes, this is exactly what's going to happen. We're going to be moved in here by
it was looking a little bit sketchy.
It wasn't great.
But again, with help from Builder Mate Paul, from Kurt, from Tim, things were starting to take shape.
They were, and we were gaining momentum more than we thought every day. But we were working long hours. I remember being absolutely exhausted every single evening.
Yeah, we were giving it our all, and not helped by the fact that you were obviously more and more pregnant at that point.
Yes, but I still hadn't forced you to sleep on the floor yet.
No, that wasn't until the last month, I think. So I still had another few weeks of sleeping in the same bed, which was nice. Thank you.
Just FYI, that's just because my bump got too big and the bed that we had was too small for the three of us.
And so the little one said, roll over.
Yes.
Yeah, and I did, onto the floor. Yeah, once the walls were up, which was really cool to see, we got to work fixing the plasterboard to actually create the walls and start creating really taking the shape for the different rooms within the gite, which is amazing.
That was a great stage to see that happening, making it feel a lot more like a home rather than a stone dungeon.
Which it had been for many
Yes.
Oh yeah, because we were going to close up the back wall, which kind of is a little bit below ground level. I think we were both quite keen to shore up some of the gaping holes. And so
Slightly concerning how much attention to detail I'm giving to shoring this particular hole up. I don't know what I was doing there.
You were just, perfecting your trade.
Yes, very diligent.
But then, look at me trying to cut plasterboard.
Yeah, that was
painful.
This is painful to watch.
And then, with most of the walls up, we had the electrician and plumbers coming back to lay the underfloor heating, and then the screed being poured. So we had a mammoth task of clearing all of the rest of the plasterboard out of there. So it was all ready for them to do their work.
But we did it, and I mean, look how fast we're working.
And then, the underfloor heating went in. And then on top of that, we had this lightweight screed. And the team were great. And it took no time at all, did it, for them to get that?
It's so nice to see other people work. And it's so nice to see how fast they can do things, which would have taken us a millennia.
Yeah, I guess the only big challenge from them coming in with the weather as it was the drying time for that screed, because you could not tile on it until it had dried out fully. Otherwise, any tiling that you do on the surface would just risk kind of lifting itself up and becoming unstuck again.
And because it was raining buckets as well, the water from outside was coming in because we didn't even have doors, we didn't have windows. the doors we had were completely, well, we'd had to sew them off the hinges pretty much, so they were just leaning against the entrance.
Yeah, that was a painful daily routine, wasn't it? It's like, right, back to work, let's go and lift those 2-ton doors off the hinges and back onto the... Anyway.
Yes, I did not envy that.
No, true. Yeah, you couldn't do that with Bump. That's
No.
not feasible, was it?
Lucky me.
But yeah, and then from there, with the waiting game on, we kind of, well, I guess, had the other conundrum, although that's one for next time, of, well, we've got all the soil pipes and everything connected inside the sheet, but we actually then needed to connect it outside to the sheet.
To the mains.
Yeah, and it turned out that hadn't been priced in by the builder we used to do the concrete foundations, which again, we're like, oh, and so how much more is it to do that? And then again, as you'll find out in the next episode, we had some help and someone to the rescue.
Yes, our superhero.